I, 22 male, suspect something between my girlfriend, 22 female, and my friend, 21 male. We all live together. Am I imagining things? I'm really freaking out right now because if what I suspect is true, this living situation is about to get really complicated. Please tell me I'm just crazy. Sorry if this is long. We are two couples living together. All attended the same university. The apartment was originally leased by my girlfriend of about 2 years, Alexis, 22 female, and our mutual friend Brooke, 22 female. The apartment is huge and expensive. There was originally supposed to be three girls living there, but the last one backed out abruptly. They were planning on moving somewhere cheaper, but they had put a lot of work into the apartment and loved it so much. They hated the idea of leaving. I offered to move in when my lease was up in May so we could split the rent and utilities three ways. I was sleeping over often anyways. Both girls were absolutely ecstatic about the idea. Shortly before I moved in, Brooke started dating my best friend Derek. This was cool because now both couples got to hang out with their best friends and SOS all at once. It seemed perfect. Derek began sleeping over a lot, and when his parents sold their house and left in October, he temporarily moved in. We haven't really pushed for him to find a new place because splitting everything four ways is helping all of us so much. But again, only Alexis and Brooke are on the lease. The apartment owner surprisingly does not mind as long as the rent gets paid because we are always quiet. There are three incidents that made me think something was up. If it weren't for these combined incidents, I would never make an accusation like this because Alexis is such a sweet and shy girl, and Derek has been a brother to me. They don't seem flirty, but as I mentioned before, all four of us are very close friends, so we spent a lot of time together. Incident 1: MWF, Brooke, and I have early classes, so we're gone by 8 a.m. Derek and Alexis starts in the afternoon, so it's not unusual for them to leave together, though they usually take separate cars. One of these days, I decided to wait for Alexis outside of her class so I could surprise her with lunch. I watched everyone shuffle out of the class, but Alexis wasn't with them. I texted her asking where she was, and she replied, "Just got out of class. Gonna go home study." I called her to see if I had just barely missed her or something there, and was no response, which I considered weird because she had just texted me a second ago. She didn't answer until much later, which is also unusual for her. She's one of those girls that's often on her phone. I ran into Brooke later in the day, and she mentioned in passing that Derek had stayed home sick. She was going to bring him soup, blah blah. At that time, I didn't think much of it. When I got home later that night, I noticed Alexis' car was in the exact same spot. She usually parked in guest parking because our unit only has three spaces. As a result, her car moves a lot. I asked her if she'd gone to class, and she got quiet before sheepishly admitting to skipping because she felt the professor sucked at explaining things, but she knows I hate when she skips classes. Something that's gotten her grades in trouble before, but she recently started doing better. I kissed her and said I trusted her judgment. While I was doing the dishes, she explained how she probably won't skip again because being bored alone in a house was the worst. I laughed and we went about our business. At night, we went to bed, and as I laid there drifting off, it hit me. She shouldn't have been alone because Derek was homesick, right? She was still up on her phone, so I popped awake and asked her where Derek was today, since Brooke had said he was homesick. She seemed startled by the question, but that may have been from me being half asleep to suddenly wide awake with a random question. She said he was here a bit in the morning but went to the errands or something. She wasn't sure. After the other incidents, I realized that the scattered way she answered this question seemed off, but that may be my imagination. Incident 2. I went to throw some stuff out in a kitchen garbage when I noticed a condom wrapper that was the exact same brand Alexis and I use. It wasn't super visible, sort of tucked behind a cereal box, but the distinctive color caught my eye. Brooke and Derek always use a different brand, free from the University Health Center, while ours are expensive Trojans. It was weird because we usually keep the wrappers in our respective rooms' garbage cans so they never appear in the kitchen. Furthermore, because of exams and general stress, Alexis and I hadn't slept together in a few days. I didn't really dig around for used condom or anything. I just went back to the room to check if any of ours were missing. I really couldn't tell because we buy in bulk. My first thought was that Brooke and Derek had ran out and broke into our trash, and I was upset that they hadn't even asked. Later that night, I mentioned the condom wrapper to Alexis, and her eyes got wide. When I mentioned my theory, she got unusual distressed. She's always very calm and went on a rant about them violating our privacy. I suggested we talk to them about it, and she immediately shut the idea down and made me swear not to bring it up unless they did it again. She didn't want to have this awkward conversation, which was weird to me because we're all generally pretty open about sex given that we live together. Though it is possible that Alexis was being genuine because she's from a conservative small town and she doesn't talk about these things as much as we do. Incident 3. Me and Derek are cool with the dudes in the apartment next to us, who are graduates from our university. We don't hang out or anything, but we have the kind of relationship where we make small talk about sports or whatever in a hall and are comfortable asking the other to keep it down without it being awkward. Last Monday during our break, I was locking up when no one else was at the apartment. When I ran into one of the guys from next door, we talked football for a bit, and then he mentioned that one of the couples in the apartment is really a fan of morning sex, and that the walls were way too thin. I laughed because Alexis and I usually had sex weekend mornings when we had a house to ourselves. Brooke and Derek usually spend weekends at her parents' house about an hour and a half away. The more I thought about it later in the day, the more I realized we hadn't been having morning sex in about a month. On a weekends, it had been more towards the evening or not at all. Did he mean on weekdays? My heart sort of dropped. I kind of want to ask him to elaborate, but the conversation ended and I feel like I missed my chance. Plus, it was a weird thing to ask, and I feel like I must be being paranoid. So, there you have it. Reddit relationships. Am I crazy? Am I looking for signs that aren't there? So, is something up? And if so, how do I proceed? I don't want to ask her just yet because first, I don't want to come off as crazy and jealous if nothing up. Second, if something is up, I don't want them to start hiding it better. I was thinking of dropping by one of those mornings they're alone together, but I don't know how to time it right. If I drop by too early or late, they might get more cautious.